I clicked it. Good morning, Texas. Good morning, Louisiana. Good morning, world.
Good
It is a
morning.
crazy world. Hi, David. How are you?
Fantastic. We're doing impact money.
Impact money. Of course, this is our evolution of what's going on here, right? I was just chatting back and forth with Matt off screen, and of course, there's so much going on in the world right now. It really is a contentious situation around the way. You have now. I was just reading Lebanon is bombing Syria. You have Iran, which Iran is like that's the big one, right? I mean, in my opinion, and Pakistan too. Pakistan's nuclear. Iran may or may not be nuclear. No one really knows for sure. Seems to me that they might be.
Right, man.
I don't know. But you have Iran now bombing Pakistan. They say they bombed Mossad operations in Pakistan, which I don't know, probably it was. I mean, they probably had intel. I think these states all have intel like we have, right? They know everything. They can watch everything. They know your phone, they know where you are, they know what kind of girls you like.
This is the
Or
point.
boys,
right?
whatever your deal is, they know it.
Mm-hmm.
So they bomb, and then now, of course, Pakistan comes back and bombs, and these are serious missiles they're sitting back and forth. It's not like the Gazans, sending over what looks to be like firecrackers almost. I mean, poor guys, and then getting in response these massive bombs back that obliterate entire blocks at once. These are big boy missiles that they're shooting back and forth from each other, and I think a very, very inflammable situation that we have over there.
Yeah, pretty tough stuff.
Texas tells the feds, whatever you want to say. Paxton, Attorney General Paxton, sends a letter. Well, first of all, of course, as you know, the feds went in there, Biden and his guys, and they got kicked out of the border. They've had this border. Eagle Pass has been open pass, like wide open. Basically, it's illegal to cross, but it's like everybody's wet foot, dry foot. We used to have that policy with Cuba. I don't know if we still do down in Florida, but it was called wet foot, dry foot, and or wet foot, dry land, or something like that. And as long as you had a foot on the land, you got to stay. And that was the deal with Cuba, because of course we were fighting communism or whatever. And I whatever. I've never been to Cuba, unfortunately. I'd love to go, but it seems like that. So as long as they get across the border, then it doesn't matter if they came illegally or not. They just register. And as we've talked about, they create the bond, and the bank does. We're pretty certain about all that stuff. And then they get to stay. And then not only do they get to stay, but of course they get medical attention and they get money and this, that, and the other. And I'm sure it's not great. I'm sure it's rough. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure, you got to go stand in line and, this, that, and the other. But it's probably a lot better than where they were. Anyway, so Attorney General Paxton and the Texas Governor Abbott, tell the federal government, screw off, because they sent them a letter and said, if you guys don't let us back on the border, they kick them out of the border. And then they said, look, if you guys don't let us back in the border, this is the feds, if you don't let us back in control of the border by yesterday at 8 p.m., you're going to be in big trouble. Jeez. And of course, Paxton just survived impeachment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Bush family, as well as a bunch of other people, got together and they tried to impeach the Attorney General Paxton, and they were unsuccessful.
That's pretty interesting stuff.
Yes, pretty interesting what we have going on there in Texas. They are Texas they've had secession on the ballot for a long time. It looks like we just got picked up again after our commercial break in Texas. Good morning, Texas. Good morning, Louisiana. We're talking about Texas, as a matter of fact. Attorney General Paxton, he tells the feds, guys, we're handling our border, and that's that. So pretty interesting what we have going on there. Here's the thing: we have the Department of Homeland Defense, and of course the border guys, and they all have guns, okay. And then you have the Texas National Guard, and they are armed as well. And this is how civil wars start. So everyone should pray for that situation. We should also we should be able to have a border. Okay, we should be able to have a border. I think any country in the world, we should be able to have a border. I mean, all right. So Iran's bombing Lebanon, Iran's bombing Pakistan, Pakistan's bombing Iran, Lebanon's bombing Syria, Israel's bombing everybody. I think we're bombing everybody. We're bombing Yemen. We're basically behind all the bombing. And then there's more bombing going on. Very, very, very volatile situation. It is playing out in the markets as well. I'm going to share my screen here for just a minute. Actually, we'll talk about Texas just a little longer since they just came on. So Texas, of course, attorney, as you guys know, right, the great state of Texas, they tried to impeach Attorney General Paxton, and they did not succeed. And now Paxton is throwing his weight around, tells the feds, look, you guys going to kick us off the border? No. You're not coming in the border. That's it. And he sends a letter to them, and he says a bunch of stuff. This is pretty interesting stuff here. Let's see. I think I can get this one. AOG response. I mean, this is a big letter on behalf of the state of Texas. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I write in response to your demand letter of January 14, 2024, in which you complain about how Texas Military Department recently seized and secured the Shelby Park in the city of Eagle Pass, Texas. Your letter mistakes both the facts and the law, demanding the Texas surrender to President Biden's open border policy. I mean, his balls are the size of Texas. Because the facts of the law side with Texas, the state will continue utilizing the constitutional authority to defend their territory, and I will continue defending those lawful efforts in court. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security should stop wasting scarce time and resources suing Texas and start enforcing the immigration laws Congress already has on the books. I could go on, but it's, you get the picture. Pretty interesting what we have going on there. Here in Texas. God bless Texas. Now, of course, it is playing out in the markets around the world. Let's see here. Everything is a bit what we have going on there. Tepid. Let me see here. Oh, did I lose my tab here? We have to be careful because, well, anytime you have, everybody always thinks that you're going to bomb, you're going to send a few bombs, you're going to do a couple little things, and it's going to be over. And that's not really how war works. Most of the time it's longer, it's more expensive, and it's costlier in lives as well. Pretty tepid across the board here in our Asian markets. I always like to check that out. 0.5% up on the Shanghai, a little lower on the Nikkei. Let's see here. Oil is going up. That is up 0.5% since I looked this morning. You can see that right there. Natural gas up 2.3%. For commodities, those are moves. Those are moves. This one, I thought this was interesting. I didn't get to dive into this too much, but look at the 15 minutes. This is the gold futures. Of course, we'll bring on Matt here in a second, but I would say it's still in our channels. Dow futures, everything kind of just took a little bit of a dive, except Dow futures is now moving. I wonder what the US dollar looks like. Let's see what our good friend Matt has to say. Mr. Dixon with Eve.io, Matt Dixon, MD Trade on X. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Matt.
Yeah, good morning. Let me just tune in. Yeah, good to see you guys. How's everything?
Doing good. You know, checking out these the markets here. Everything seems a bit shaky. A lot going on, bombing back and forth. You got states telling the federal government to, just mind their own business.
Yeah.
And over here in the U.S. and of course even Jordan now. Jordan just bombed Jordan.
And
Yeah.
this is really quite concerning. I've been talking about this for quite some time about the risk that's going on, and I don't believe it's properly priced in. And we've probably seen that in the price of oil.
Yep.
We're just seeing some tentative little rises, little peak up in oil again today, and that's despite the fall off in economic activity. So there's a lot of mixed signals out there at the moment, but it's really not being priced in, and the risk is absolutely tremendous. The risk of an escalation within the Middle East. So the fact that you've mentioned about, I mean, there's actually a number of books written. I might look into them. I'll probably quote a couple of those books, but I've read a few of these books talking about an upcoming confrontation in the Middle East, which would involve a confederacy of nations potentially attacking Israel together. So you're talking about the likes of potentially Jordan, although they're actually, I think they've got a peace treaty with Israel at the moment, but potentially Jordan, particularly Lebanon. And it's quite interesting or worrying to see that there has been some escalation there. I wasn't quite sure. You reported something about some bombing, Syria being bombed from Lebanon. Was that what you were saying?
I messed up and I meant Jordan. So Jordan, over the last 8 hours or so, bombed some positions in Syria, and it's no one's really quite sure, or no one doesn't appear clear to me whether it was drug related or terrorism or anything. It's kind of interesting. They're all saying they're bombing terrorists. They're like bombing into each other's country, and everybody's a terrorist.
Everyone calls everyone else a terrorist. Yeah, that's the way of the world at the moment. Yeah,
Not
but
to
it
offend anybody.
Yeah, genuinely, it's quite worrying because if this does actually kick off, they're going to block all the shipping through the Red Sea. More importantly, through the Persian Gulf, and that's where. And we've already got, they cut off their supplies from Russia pretty well with that escalation there. So this would really cut off supplies of oil. And then we're worried about a little bit of inflation at 4% being twice the target rate. Just imagine what, with price of oil absolutely rocketing, which has a knock-on effect to the price of transportation. And we mentioned that the other day. The Dow transportations are not at all-time high, whereas Dow industrials are. And that's actually a warning sign in itself. So we need to take these warning signs into account. You really need to be careful about your positioning. Just use your stop losses, as we're always saying. Use your risk reward properly. I mean, I was going to look a little bit about Solana today. I probably will still mention a few little bits and pieces.
It is a bright spot in the day for sure.
Yeah. Some of the blockchain technologies, the way they've been developing, it's fantastic, and there's a lot more coming on. And I'm going to tell you about another chain in the near future. I've mentioned it, but we talk about. I mean, I will probably just jump into that whilst we still maybe examine what's going on in the Middle East. I mean, you've got some key players there. What with Yemen, these are all kind of round and about Israel. So you've got Yemen, you've got Jordan, you've got Lebanon, you've got Syria. And I know Egypt now have a peace treaty with Israel, so that's probably not an issue. But as I say, if they if oil supplies were to be interrupted, we're already seeing a tick up in inflation because of it, but that will have a massive effect. So I'm just going to share screen, or try to share screen. You know what it's like. Here we go. Yeah, we've got it. So I'm going to go straight into, and I hope you can see here, I'm going to share the whole screen, I think. Yeah, can you see my screen there?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is really something, I mean, I've been very interested in looking at comparative values of different cryptocurrencies, and it's really important because you're always getting news out there talking about how good this one is and how good that one is, but we have been looking a bit recently about the comparative ups and downs of different cryptos. So for example, as we said, from a value perspective, we're looking at Litecoin compared with Bitcoin. They're very, very similar chains. Litecoin is just basically, you know, a fork off of Bitcoin, as we said. So very, very similar chains. And yet the value for money seems to be much more in the camp of Bitcoin, because it goes up more and it comes down less. But there's a very interesting thing. So we look at, we'll look in a moment at transactions per second, but you can't look at TPS or transactions per second on their own. There's actually a balance here. I've got the triangle laid out here as a sort of trilemma. It's known as the blockchain trilemma between scalability, security, and decentralization. So you get more and more scalability, but it takes away from the others, or if you're more decentralized. So for example, we know that Bitcoin is very, very decentralized. They've got something, I think they've got over 50,000 nodes around the world. So to get a 51% attack to take control of all those, and that would be how you'd effectively hack the Bitcoin network, it's virtually impossible, because it costs literally billions upon billions to be able to do that. So it is virtually impossible to do. And it's obviously Bitcoin being proof of work. When you go towards proof of stake, which is a lot more energy efficient, of course, then you're coming down, you know, you're upping the scalability perhaps, but then you're compromising the security a little bit, because, I mean, if you think about Bitcoin has got more than 50,000 nodes, it's very difficult to do a 51% attack. But then you look at Solana, which is an amazing blockchain, and we'll look a little bit more about Solana in a moment, but they don't, I think they're under 3,000 nodes. So it's much easier to do a 51% attack. And then with the scalability of Solana, for example, it's very, very expensive. But transactions per second, this is where you've got this trilemma again. Transactions per second are very, very high. You've only got 7 TPS on Bitcoin, something like 5 to 7, something like that. And yet with Solana, you've got 65,000 transactions per second. So you've got a great deal of speed, so it's scalable. And then the cost is all part of the scalability as well. The transaction cost for Solana is minimal, but Bitcoin is actually quite high. And I remember transferring a lot using Ethereum, and we're paying up to $300 per transaction at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where all these things sort of compete. This is quite interesting, just a comparison of transactions per second. But as I say, it's not the whole story. You've got to bear in mind this this trilemma that I talked about. So we had Bitcoin 7 transactions per second, Ethereum 15, and going up the scale. And right at the top there, you've got Polygon, Solana. You've got some others which are even higher than that, but you know they're so weak on the other elements of that trilemma that we've not put them in here. But you know, 65,000 transactions per second. You compare that with the likes of MasterCard and Visa, it's way higher. So these could potentially, you know, you can see the blockchain can really become actual money. But when you're talking about Bitcoin, 7 transactions per second, it doesn't have the scalability. You can have layer 2 solutions, which give it more scalability, but still not to the level of the likes of Solana at the moment. So, but if we look at Solana, as I say, in terms of value for money, it's absolutely fantastic. We talked about, you know, Litecoin may not be such good value for money. So if you're thinking about an upmarket, Solana is the place to be, because it has much higher gains in percentage terms than the likes of Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin, from a comparative perspective, is better than Litecoin. So it's just good to do this analysis. You know, if I'm thinking the market's going to go up, I will be betting on Solana. And you can actually see just in the last little bit of this chart, that Solana's been pushing up, whereas Bitcoin has been pushing down. But if we're thinking that we're going to see higher in the markets, then, as I say, Solana might be the place to be. But again, it's all about actual diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and try to look at different aspects of cryptocurrencies to build your portfolio. And that's where eBay comes in. We've got some amazing technology there, eBay.io. We're going to be launching a new upgrade, as I said, next week, and we'll delve into that to see how it can really help people get the most efficient trading portfolio. Here's my, a chart on Solana again. It just shows that potentially there's two sides to the story. We could potentially be heading much lower. I've got other charts saying it could head higher. So fundamental analysis doesn't give you all the answers. Sorry, technical analysis doesn't give you all the answers, nor does fundamental for that matter. But we've got to keep an eye on what's happening in the wider world, because these are now becoming a really more mature asset class, and we need to look at what affects that asset and its supply and demand. And what affects supply and demand? Well, it's actually the psychology that's going on in the world, how people are thinking about things, how is their attitude toward risk, are they seeing the possibility of escalation in the Middle East? So there's so many different things that we now need to take into account when we're trading cryptocurrency. It used to be like a magic box. You just put your money in and more money came out the other side. That's no longer the case. It's a mature asset class. We've seen that now with the ETFs being approved, and we need to treat it as such and do proper, thorough analysis and use the tools that we have at our disposal to make best use of it. And here's a final chart that I've put together myself on Solana, and we can see basically from the low point that we had of $8 that we've got the 1, 2, 3. We're working on a wave 4, so I think, and it looks as though we really are heading down in weight towards the end of the C wave in wave 4, and we should get a further then push to the upside. But following that push to the upside, that's what I'm thinking. We may see things kick off in the Middle East. And from a chart perspective, you can't say precisely, and I do use cycle analysis. There's a cycle analysis called Hurst analysis that I sometimes use. And we're looking at potentially around April time for a blow up in the markets. When I say a blow up, I mean not in a good way. So I do think that we could see things escalate. So let's just keep an eye on those markets. And just finally, I suppose, let's take a look at crude. You mentioned crude oil. That's a great barometer of risk in the world. And we're seeing a couple of green candles here on the daily basis. So there's been 2 days of solid gains now in the oil price. And if we see any further escalations, this could really rocket above here. And we should actually move above this price, $94, because that was a 5-wave impulsive move to the upside. What we've seen so far is a 3-wave corrective move down to this hidden bullish divergence, telling us that the bull market is reasserting itself and that we should actually push to new highs here. So that they're warning signs. They're beginning to flash now. So we need to keep our eye on it. So that's
an X
really
leverage position on oil futures.
Yeah, I don't trade oil actually. I watch oil very closely. There's a lot of assets I don't trade, so I look for correlations in the market, and oil is a great one to look at. Obviously, I look at interest rates and inflation and all these other factors. But there's a lot of assets I don't trade, but I still keep an eye on them because they give you a lot of information. And even within cryptocurrency, there are certain correlations there. I actually look at one really good correlation is actually between the pound dollar, the rate of the pound dollar, and it's actually directly correlated with crypto to quite a large extent. So when you see pound dollar going up, crypto goes up. When you saw Bitcoin hit that low of the FTX crisis, 15,400, that's when the pound was 103. And that's why I'm saying, again, I keep coming out with this one. I said it first. I came out with it first that the pound is going to go below 1 to the dollar. That's coming. And now what that signifies is if that correlation holds, which I expect it will do, then we're going to see much lower cryptocurrency and risk assets in the future when that pound drops below. And all the wave counts I've seen, I look at a lot of Elliott wave analysis. They're all saying that the move up on the pound since that 103 rate has been corrective, which means the impulsive direction is still downward. So we're going to go below 103 at some point this year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when you're planning your trips to UK, that's the side of the curve. As David said, you'll have loads of money, loads of dollars to spend, because the dollar is going to, we're going to get some weakness with the money printing, but then when trouble hits, the dollar will go through the roof, and that's the time to travel to UK, because you'll get a lot of goods for your money.
Yeah.
Right on.
Well, even as we were even in doing this, and I was just kind of pulling up that chart as we did it, but even as we are talking here, you know, the world just, I mean, I hate to see what World War III is going to look like if this isn't World War III. You know, so we have, let's see here, breaking: Russia blacks out GPS in Poland. That's not good. Source: Yahoo News. Russian electronic warfare from Kaliningrad caused a massive GPS signal disruption affecting almost half of Poland and the Suwalki corridor. Then, of course, that battle goes on. We're looking at some of the betting software that they have out there, and you know they're predicting that war is going to continue on. 22% chance that the war in the Ukraine will be over by June. 22%. It's not good. It's it's rough, and it just plays heck with the markets, you know, and that's it. Well, I mean, it's bad on a number of obviously it's horrible. The human toll is bad, but it sure makes trading as well very hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard, but it's also quite useful in some ways, as long as you follow very carefully, use risk reward in the correct way. So the funny thing is, it's not funny, but you know, we talked about boiling a frog the other day. So there's so much happening. The tensions in the world are escalating right now, but actually nobody's really noticing. And it will be like the straw that breaks the camel's back. It'll just be one final event which tips the balance, and then you will see the markets. And markets tend to go down much quicker than they go up. So when there is a market crash, you tend to really see a very rapid, aggressive move to the downside. But it takes years of building, and they say climbing a wall of worry. And that's kind of what the market's been doing the past couple of years. There has been a wall of worry because there's lots of concerns out there. We've got the inflation prediction, not inflation, so well, we have got inflation, of course, but recession predictions this year. And then we've got all these geopolitical tensions. So you've got macroeconomic and geopolitical, and it's climbing a wall of worry. And the markets tend to do that, and it climb and climb and climb with all this worry. But eventually you get the straw that breaks the camel's back, and it just snaps just like that, and the markets will tumble. So that's why stop losses are absolutely a necessary part of trading, unless you're just trading a small amount that you don't need to worry about.
Yes. Yeah. And that's different for everybody. I always tell people, don't put money in there that you can't lose, because once you put money into the market, you can lose it. That is something that can definitely happen.
Yeah, there are actually some hedging strategies you can use, which you can profit potentially with upside or downside in the market. Obviously, there's a bit of balancing goes on there, so you don't make so much when the market goes up, and you don't make so much when the market goes down, or lose so much when the market goes down. So you're watering down your profit potential a little bit. But in times of trouble like this, maybe that's a sensible approach. And you can actually use options, and you don't need to put a lot of money into options to profit in a big way if the market falls sharply. If it doesn't fall sharply, you'll lose the money you put into those options, but you can still have other money on the long side. So there's also all sorts of investment strategies that you can adopt to take advantage and protect yourself in all these difficult times. And that's, again, what we talked about yesterday with the ETFs. Some of the smart guys knew what was happening. They could actually see that there was it was trading at a discount when it was the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust trading at a massive discount. So they were buying in all the way up to this approval. They knew what was, so, the big guys, they know what's happening. They knew it was going to be approved, and they were buying in at a massive discount, 50% discount on Bitcoin. So no wonder there's a bit of profit taking now. But I still think there's probably still a little bit higher to go once we finish this little pullback at the moment. Probably still higher to go before the shit hits the fan, as they say.
All right. Well, with that note, Matt Dixon, I'll tell you, it's always a pleasure having you on and having your insight. Make sure to check out MD Trade on X. He's at MD Trade, as well as EVAI _IO on X, EVAI.io. And we will see you tomorrow, sir.
Yeah, awesome, man. Market Watch is the best. Thanks, Matt.
Pleasure to be with you. Catch you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Cheers. Right. Okay, so there you have it. I tell you guys, I think that we are in for a bit of a pullback across the board. Now, things like this, they tend to have an effect. We go fast down and then probably shoot back up. But with everything being so volatile, it does point to some crazy things going on. And like I was saying, I mean, just like even as we were on here, I mean, Russia knocking out the GPS of Poland. I mean, that is pretty big news. And then everything, of course, just really firing up as well around the world. One of the things, of course, one of the ways that you can hedge against this stuff, of course, is gold. It is gold. It's silver. It's precious metals. Bitcoin, Litecoin, the different blockchains right now, they are still so new that they're very volatile, and I think that'll change over time. But that is a great way that you can do it. Now, I did want to play. Where is he? Hamden Kaisar, and he talks about freedoms. When we look at the situation that we have going on in Texas, okay, and how they are standing up to the federal government. God bless Texas. Of course, I have multiple people on my feed telling me, God bless Texas. And I agree, God bless Texas. I mean, they should have done it 3 years ago, okay? But, but I'm going to play. How do you make purchase using gold or silver? Over my head. Well, a lot of times it's the same way as you do with different kinds of Bitcoin is you trade it in for a currency that you can use, whether it's dollars or whatnot. Now, if you take something like what we have with at cost metal, that's at costmetal.com, but at costmetal.club, and you can sign up, and you should go ahead and sign up. And that actually, I'll play that little kind of promo first. And what you can do there is you can put it into your account, so you can sell it back. You can buy and sell the gold. So it's pretty interesting situation that we have there. I think this is the promo video that I wanted here. Let me just short little thing. No, wrong one. And so that makes it easier. And so really everyone should sign up for that. It's at cost metals. Okay. And if you look at the pricing down on the bottom of the page, this is the one I wanted right here. This is just a short promo. Let me share my screen. Then you can sell the gold or silver right back to the company. So you can have some of it at home, and you can have as well some of it in the vault and operate it that way. So we are in pre-launch, which is also kind of a exciting situation, depending. Let's see here.
Just wanna thank you. Oh, just wanna thank you. I wanna thank you for being mighty good to me.
Now this talks about the vault. This is the
In the
digital
grand
vault,
scheme of wealth
which I think is,
preservation, purchasing and storing precious metals can be a daunting endeavor.
answers
The
your
hurdles
question
are many,
as well.
from high markups and hidden fees to the logistical nightmare of secure storage. Even figuring out the authenticity of your purchase can be a nail-biting experience. Imagine a world where these complications are no longer your concern. Welcome to the future with at-cost metals, where the complexities of traditional methods are replaced with simplicity, security, and savings. This is the world of our membership-based service. For an annual fee of $149 or $399, you gain access to a treasure trove of benefits that make precious metals purchasing a breeze. Picture this: buying precious metals at cost, with no markups, no hidden fees, just the pure value of the metal itself. But the advantages don't stop there. Our service doesn't just give you precious metals at cost, it also provides a digital and physical vault with the highest level of security. No more worrying about burglars or natural disasters. Your precious metals are safe in our DAP vault, accessible anytime, anywhere. Now, you might be asking, what about shipping? We've got you covered. Enjoy free or at-cost shipping, depending on your membership tier. This means more savings for you, more value for your investment. In the world of precious metals investment, our service is a game changer. It's not just a better way to buy and store precious metals, it's the best way. Don't let the complexities of traditional methods deter you from the lucrative world of precious metals. Sign up for a membership today. Secure your wealth, ensure your future. Welcome to the new age of precious metal investment. Welcome to a world of security, simplicity, and savings.
So it didn't so much that video itself didn't talk so much about the buyback and the sellback, but that is definitely part of it. So if you hold, obviously you want some at your home, maybe you want some in the vault as well. And if it's in the vault, you can buy and sell it just right from the dashboard. So that would be one way, and then you can withdraw it onto one of your cards and do that. So it really is a game changer. I'm the reason we keep talking about it is because it is such a phenomenal deal, phenomenal situation at cost metals. Let me just show you again the pricing on this. And I did send this over to my guy, and he buys all kinds of gold and silver. And he has, and this is the main site here at Cost Metals. You sign up, use referral clubs. It's free to sign up. Then you need to join the club. It's like fund it with $149 or $399. You might as well do the $399. You get some silver with that. But if you look here at some of the prices, you have the spot price, which is over here on the right. You have the buyback price, okay, which is also very important because they buy it back, and then the sell price. And some of those numbers are not jiving. This is fresh site. You can see these numbers here are jiving on the American Platinum. So this officially launches, I believe on Sunday. We'll see. They're working on it, but that dashboard is going to be something pretty amazing. And guys, like I always say, you need crypto, you need cash, you need gold, you need property, you need all these types of things. They're going to continue to inflate the money. There's really no way out of it. We're about to go on commercial break in Texas and Louisiana here. We're about to go on a commercial break, and then we'll continue live coverage here as we go. I wanted to show you some of this stuff we have going on here. Of course, videos coming out of Ukraine are just horrible, really. Yeah, this is rough. So this is Ukraine. Of course, you know how our propaganda works. Of course, powers that be here in the West are really pro-Ukraine. So this is Ukraine. during West Tank. War is rough. And of course, you have all the bombing going on. I don't see the stuff. Bookmark the link. Thank you. Yes. Awesome. Let me know. You can give me a call as well, and we can talk about it. I'll help you out there. Crazy times. What do you think will happen in Texas, David?
It is a funny situation. Most people don't understand the agreement that the U.S. has with the United Nations, and that back in the day we gave the United Nations, I believe it's 30 miles along the border of Texas. So for Texas to secure the border, it makes it much more difficult. That being said, they also own several other properties, including DC, New York, New York's Manhattan area. That's why you see all kinds of craziness happen in Manhattan, and the mayor of New York isn't able to do much about it. So we do have to let Texas hold their ground and keep their families safe, and also that leads into the rest of America as well. And it's unacceptable what they were allowing, and obviously they're putting an end to that now.
It's been a long time coming. Most of us like, gosh, why didn't you do this?
Enough is enough, huh?
Yeah, enough is enough. Well, and that's pretty interesting what you say. So the UN is now, we gave a bunch of this. What, even our border is the UN is can control the border.
Yeah, along the Texas border, and a little bit more into a few other states. And they actually ended up creating New Mexico off of paperwork in DC. It wasn't actually land owned by either state. They created it and created addresses for it.
So,
yeah. Not only along with that, but the UN is owner in charge of the police force. And so you want your police force to do something about people coming in illegally. And of course, they're doing all the funny, dangerous business while they're doing it. And the police are ordered to not detain, not hold down, but actually give them paperwork that gets sent back to DC. And like we said earlier on the show, it likely gets invested as a new taxpayer and bonded and insured and sold on the markets for profit.
It is crazy. The fact that the United Nations is in control of parts of Manhattan and in control of our border tells you pretty much everything you need to know.
Well, and the entire police force. The police force has two units of operation. They have their standard day-to-day uniform, your local police, and then they also have a UN uniform that's on the ready at any time the call is given. They'll switch over to their more military style enforcement, and those are on deck. They're ready in a secure location. They have automobiles and extra artillery and things ready to go. They used it once when Texas had the floods quite a few years ago, and they put on the blue uniforms right there in Texas in one of the towns.
I remember that.
Yes. So this is part of the trouble. It's not as easy as everybody says, just shut down the border, of course. But you have these political figures and these powerful political figures trying to do their thing.
Well, it's pretty interesting as well, because why are we bringing all of these people in here? Why are they letting so many people get in here? And it is, however you want to. There's a lot of different factions about it. There's a lot to it.
A lot to it. You know, you have the people trying to pool a demographic vote in certain towns so they can provide housing in these towns. After a few years, they're eligible to vote, and a political swinger can lean in on them. And that's one way. Like you said, there's quite a few powers at play.
There's quite a few powers at play. There's a lot of money at play. Not only is it the bonds that are being issued every time a human is born in the U.S. There's a bond issued by the central bank, which is a private bank controlled by people that you don't know, and not the government. They're the ones printing the money. But as well, when they're entering illegally and they register in, there's a bond created as well. So
Yes.
that's big money right there.
Yeah, and the court system. So after they are registered, they get in, maybe they run across some type of citation from our policy enforcers, and they get a court hearing or date. They get a court number. That court number is issued a bond investment, and that bond is then sold, and that bond lives on as an insurity forever as an investment vehicle. And that's how we're able to send these absurd amounts of funds to fund these wars.
Yes. It is.
You know, it's not your local tax at the store. It's not your income tax that provides that amount of money. We are still the wealthiest nation, and now we're spreading that wealth without any benefit to us as our lives continue.
The other part of this is, I mean, let's just be very frank about it, is the cartels and its drugs. You know, it's big drug trade. I mean, the drug trade is massive, going through these parts of Texas, coming over the border,
Yeah.
and
it could be a more peaceful operation. You know, like who doesn't like to get down with the get down or something like this? But some of these drugs are coming in. They're dropping people dead, and it's not okay.
the fentanyl is absolutely out of hand. I'm glad that this stuff was really not around. But,
Yeah,
you know, I
was
don't
for
think
me.
fentanyl was around when we were.
It was for me. There was plenty of kids. Maybe the fentanyl wasn't there originally. It was just the synthetic opioids and everything, but they would overdo it. And I know several people that did, and God bless them, rest in peace, because it's not a friendly place to go.
It is not a friendly place to go.
And now you see these our popular cities up north in the Northeast. You see people doing this thing called trank, and man, they are tranquilized like you wouldn't believe. And they're doing this in big groups, and they're right out there. It's right out there on the roads and sitting on the side of their car. And I can only imagine if that's what you see walking down the sidewalk. I can't imagine what's happening inside the buildings.
Yeah, it is a big problem. So they are starting to. It looks like they're arresting people now at the border, which of course they've just been letting them in. So this is pretty interesting. This is fresh off of some.
Well, that's the gamble, right? You take your chance and hope that you're going to be detained for an hour, or maybe you're going to be detained for 2 weeks. Do you know who's making the arrest there?
State troopers arresting illegal migrants at Shelby Park in Eagle Pass, Texas. I'll play that one more time. That's state troopers. State law enforcement are acting under Governor Greg Abbott's border disaster declaration. Troopers are enforcing criminal trespass on single adult men and women.
Well, it's good to see that they're stepping up and hopefully making things a little more safe.
Hopefully making things a little more safe. I mean, something's got to give. We can't have an open border. You got to have a border.
You can't have people walking for days and days and those through natural land. People are really suffering in that aspect as well.
Well, that's the other part of it, right? Like you have human trafficking, you have the drugs, you have everything that goes along with an open border.
Yeah, we have all these confrontations, these wars going on. Most of the countries now see the type of proxy that the U.S. is becoming, and we can't not expect a reaction at some point. And that's a heck of a way for them to slide in and find some important people.
Yes, true. Pretty sharp pullback we had on the markets even during the show. So if you remember, we talked about natural gas and things spiking earlier. Natural gas was up %, and if you just look here again now, we're all over the place. So oil had spiked up almost to a whole %, now down to a quarter, and falling. Natural gas was up 2%, or over 2%. So I'm looking around to see what the catalyst was, because normally when you have something like that on the commodities, there's something happened. I have to think that part of that was probably Poland having their GPS taken out.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme.
That's pretty extreme.
I was in the car not too long ago, and we were talking, and my friend says, I don't drive anywhere without the GPS, like unless if it's further than the grocery store that's 1-2 minutes away, I turn the GPS on.
It is funny, right? We're all like that.
Yeah, I'm like, even if you know where you're going, but you have a 10-20 minute drive, you want to see how many miles or kilometers are coming up and how many feet you have till your turn.
And where there might be some things in the way, right? I mean, it saved me the other day coming into DC. There was a bunch in and out. I had to go in and get out of Washington while my wife and kid. So we have two kind of emerging people here for Trump's VP. Everybody's talking about. Of course,
Who is it going to be?
And Nikki Haley. No, I'm just kidding.
She would be so thrilled. Just kidding again.
Oh man, she's about as unlike. So the story is that they had all kinds of people coming in, Democrats. They ran out of forms for people to register on the same day during the Iowa caucus. So this is Vivek and Kristen Noem. Share this tab. This is Vivek last night, I think.
Let's do this, guys. It's good to see you. It's good to be back to New Hampshire. We miss you guys.
You're saying
we're going to make this happen, and you guys know this well. You know this man. You know why we're here, patriots across the state. We are in the middle of a war in this country. That's what this is. It's not a war between black and white. It's not between Democrat and Republican, even in a deeper sense. It's between the permanent state and the everyday. Between those of us who love the United States of America and a fringe minority who hates this country and what we stand for. And right now we need a commander-in-chief who will lead us to victory in this war. That's what we need in this country.
I mean, you gotta respect the fact that he knows how to play his cards. He says, "Okay, I'm not gonna win this thing. It's been a good ride. Let me just hop on board the Trump train."
I mean, that's a heck of a train, man. I've never seen more people, leaning one way.
The Trump train. It is a powerful train. That guy, go against him at your own peril.
Yeah, you're gonna get some funny nicknames.
You might be called the Sanctimonious, or you'll get your own nickname. He'll make it up, and it'll stick. It'll stick. Everyone will start calling you that name. What was Ted Cruz's name? Lion Ted Cruz.
I mean, usually they make sense.
Usually they make sense. Well, Ted Cruz, I don't think he's a bad guy, but these guys in Washington, they've all been here so long. I mean, they got some dirt on you. The intelligence agencies, you see what Epstein was doing with everybody. They come in, they get you, they figure out what you want. They already know what you want. They know what you like. Girls, boys, old, young, whatever your thing is, they know. And they do the trap on you. The honey pot.
The honey pot.
That's what they do. It's the honey pot. So Kristi Noem is the other one. She is definitely being eyed, or that's what they say. Personally, I would like to see a general or a colonel.
Right.
Yeah, or Giuliani.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be. Yeah. I mean, I'll let you say that.
I like Giuliani.
I do too. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that one. He reminds me too much of somebody else that we had years ago. Well, I think that we are going to continue. I think today, as far as, let me see here. So we have the Dow futures are just kind of fluttering here. Pretty interesting to watch. I think that today it's going to be pretty interesting in the markets for sure.
I like Thursdays. Yeah.
Friday. So you see the Dow future just kind of fluttering here. We've got our crypto markets here. Bitcoin 42.5. I still think that probably spikes down to 40 before we're done with this, before the end of the month, over the next week or two. We'll see. BNB having a pretty nice run. XRP struggling here. Let's see here. And then the gold futures, of course, looking pretty interesting as well. Now this chart, if you look at it though, the percentage is just it's small percentage. Oh wow! And look at this. So even while we're talking, oil pullback. Look at that. Pretty interesting. So, well, we will continue to bring you the best information live that we can. Impact money. You have a great day too. And we will be live again in Texas and in Louisiana and across our channels at 12 noon, the Porter Brothers. And we will give you an update from there. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bruce. We love you. See you soon.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.